Hey there, and welcome to BingeBot. We recap on the latest and greatest TV to help keep you in the loop. Today we've got a recap of The Legend of Vox Machina Season 3, the animated fantasy show based on the popular web series Critical Role. This humorous and action-packed adaptation continues the story started in the last season, which sees our heroes hunting down the rest of the faction of scheming dragons known as the Chroma Conclave. As always, if you guys like our videos and you want to help out the channel, consider leaving us a like or sharing the video with a friend. You can always support us via YouTube memberships, Patreon, or buy me a coffee, and unlock some cool extras in the process. Alright, let's get started with our recap of The Legend of Vox Machina Season 3, starting with Episode 1, A Deadly Bargain. In the magical realm of Tal Do Rey, Vox Machina, a team of 7 magically gifted misfits who have banded together to become a group of mercenaries, has just killed the powerful dragon Umbrasyl. The once scorned and disrespected team has finally proven themselves, becoming entrusted protectors of the continent. After killing Umbrasyl, one of the dragons from the Chroma Conclave, Vox Machina is visited by Raishan, another member of the Conclave. Raishan tries to convince his ragtag team, who like to drink and make crude jokes, to join forces with her to defeat Thordak, the leader of the Chroma Conclave. Thordak, with the help of the 4 other dragons who make up the Conclave, is trying to enact a new world order of dragons, and while Raishan is technically a member, she was betrayed by Thordak and vows vengeance upon him. Raishan explains Thordak's plans to hatch a new nest of dragon eggs, which will become his army to take over the realm. Nevertheless, Vox Machina is furious at Raishan for the massacre she has committed with the other dragons, and they try to kill her, but she disappears. They even devise a plan to search for the new dragon eggs to see if Raishan is speaking the truth. The next day, Vax, a Vox Machina member and roguish half-elf, who has been bestowed with new powers of speed and flight, flies into Thordak's lair and spots the nest of dragon eggs. While trying to escape the lair, Vax is shot out of the sky by Voragal, the frost-breathing dragon of the Chroma Conclave. Seeing this, the rest of Vox Machina enter the fight and quickly realize that they cannot win, but Raishan appears just in time and teleports them to safety. Once safe, Raishan explains that to defeat Thordak, they will need a piece of armor, the plate of the Dawn Martyr, which is one of the powerful vestiges of divergence scattered across the world, located in the city of Ankh-Harel. Vox Machina decides to trust Raishan and rushes to the city, and while devising a plan to steal the vestige from the city's keep, Dr. Anna Ripley, the evil scientist and enemy of Vox Machina, steals it first and takes Percy, Vox Machina's aristocratic gunslinger, captive. Episode 2, Prisoners of Ankh-Harel. While holding Percy captive, Dr. Ripley is trying to use her gathered vestiges to create an arcane factory that can mass-produce weapons and needs Percy's unique skills to complete the machine. Meanwhile, the Vox Machina team is frantic over Percy's disappearance. While desperately searching the busy streets of Ankh-Harel, Grog Strongjaw, a dim-witted warrior and the muscle of Vox Machina, meets some children who suggest where Percy may be held captive. The team races off to find him, but along their route, the powerful city guards accuse them of stealing the vestige and attempt to capture them. However, Pike Trickfoot, Vox Machina's gnome cleric, shelters the team with a holy shield and they manage to escape. Back in Dr. Ripley's factory, Percy agrees to help, but deceives her by constructing a deadly machine. The machine explodes, but it fails to kill her.
You toy with us! No, we need him.
Luckily, the rest of the team bursts in to aid Percy and begins attacking Dr. Ripley. She manages to escape right before the city guards arrive, capturing and wrongly accusing Vox Machina of stealing the vestige. They are taken to the ruler of the city, Emprix Jamansa Ord, who sentences them to death for theft and murder. Attempting to spare his team, Percy heroically accepts sole responsibility for the crimes. However, before they can be executed, Vox Machina presents the Emprix with another vestige, Mythcarver, a sword that can locate the other vestiges. The Emprix looks into the sword and sees the true thief, Dr. Ripley, running away.
Can't have you watching.
So you were telling the truth.
She exonerates Vox Machina of their crimes and explains that Dr. Ripley only stole a forgery and they need to travel to the hells of Despath and find the real plate of the Dawn Martyr. Episode 3, Vexations. Meanwhile, Thordak is becoming frustrated with his Dragon Conclave's failures to kill Vox Machina. He tells Raishan that if she cannot find them within 2 days, he will issue a bounty throughout the kingdoms for whoever can find them, the reward being Raishan's share of the Empire. Back at Vox Machina's place, relations between the members become complicated when Percy spends the night with Vex, the group's half-elf ranger and twin sister of Vax, while Vax tells Keyleth, Vox Machina's Ashari druid, he's not ready for a relationship with her, and Scanlan Shorehalt, the group's silver-tongued gnome bard, tries to kiss Pike, who recoils in disgust. The next morning, Vox Machina explains to the Council of Tal Del Rey their mission to travel to the hells of Despath. Kima and Allura, two lovers and members of the council, decide to help and travel with them to Draconia, a floating archipelago of frigid cities on the continent of Wildmount, to find a gateway. Upon arrival in Draconia, the gateway is opened for Vox Machina, so Grog, Vax, Pike, Keyleth, and Scanlan enter to find the city of Dees, a large settlement in the Nine Hells. Motivated by sexual tension, Vex and Percy volunteer to stay behind together to guard the gateway. Soon after, Voragal, the frost-breathing dragon, is seen flying towards the gateway. Percy, Vex, and the council members try to flee from the powerful dragon, but they soon realize the cities of Draconia have made a pact with the Chroma Conclave to lead them to Vox Machina in exchange for sparing their people under the new order. While running away from the dragon, they find shelter in a deep cave, but not before losing Kima during the chase. Episode 4: Hell to Pay. Meanwhile, most of the Vox Machina members have arrived in Hell and look very out of place in a city full of tortured souls and demons. Pike is immediately uneasy and begins praying to her god, the Everlight, for protection. She subsequently sees a vision of the Everlight and is warned not to enter Hell as she cannot protect her there. Nevertheless, the group decides to move on, and Scanlan places a disguise on them to appear like demons, and they set off through Hell, trying to blend in and search for the vestige. The disguise appears to be working until Pike attempts to save a tortured soul, alerting all of Hell to their presence. With their true identities exposed, the group is forced to run, and Pike hears a voice calling out to her, directing her where to go. They reach a tower with a door that opens to reveal the massive demon Yank, beckoning them to enter. Once inside, Yank leads them to his master, Xerxes, the Fallen Knight, the one whose voice Pike had heard earlier. He explains that if they want the Plate of the Dawn Martyr, Pike must play a game of chance. If she wins, she may have the vestige, but if she loses, she must remain with Xerxes indefinitely. Despite her friend's protests, though, she accepts. Xerxes then explains the rules of a simple card game to Pike, while her friends are restrained, only able to watch. Pike quickly loses the game, but begs Xerxes for a second chance, and he accepts, but only if she wagers the lives of her friends. She agrees to his terms, and while nervous, Pike exposes Xerxes' weakness, his past in which he lost his husband and son by joining the betrayer god Asmodeus, the Lord of Torment, and the Nine Hells. Using this information, she defeats Xerxes at his own game, and he appears to accept defeat and immediately presents Pike with a vestige. As Vox Machina then sets off to leave Hell, Xerxes orders Yank to kill them all, except for Pike. Episode 5: The Frigid Wastes. Back in the freezing climate of Draconia, the group is desperately searching for Kima when they spot Voragal chasing her across a frozen lake. Percy distracts the dragon and leads him onto thin ice, and just as Voragal is about to make a meal out of Percy, the gunslinger shoots the ice and Voragal falls through. They then quickly make their way back to the gateway and begin opening it, but then Voragal arrives seeking vengeance. Meanwhile, in the burning depths of Hell, the rest of Vox Machina are fleeing from Yank. They arrive at the gateway only to find it closed, resulting in a desperate fight against the demon. Keyleth begins to open their side of the gateway, while the rest do their best to hold off Yank.
Oh, your head!
What about it? Oh, what the f***?
Death seems imminent on both sides of the gateway, but it finally opens, and Voragal flies in to come face to face with the formidable demon. What ensues is a titanic battle between demon and dragon, fire and ice, and seeing the two monsters go head-to-head, the reunited Vox Machina team just tries to stay out of their way. The demon appears too powerful, even for Voragal, and the fight pushes back through the gateway into the frozen mountains of Draconia. There, they continue to trade blow for blow until Voragal rips off one of Yanks' arms, severely handicapping him. But not fazed by this, the demon charges again and lands a heavy attack on the dragon. However, during the attack, Voragal flies into the sky and breathes his frost beam into the mouth of the demon, incapacitating it and stomping the life out of it for good. Vox Machina, Kima, and Allura are left watching the victorious dragon as Voragal sets his sights on them. And in a reckless act of bravery, Kima rushes the dragon with the team in tow. She exploits a gaping wound in his chest which had been sustained during his fight with Yank, further weakening the dragon. To finish him off, Keyleth enchants Vex's arrows with thorns, allowing it to pierce Voragal's open wound, ripping his heart and squeezing the life out of him. Episode 6: The Coming Storm. After defeating Voragal, Scanlan opens a portal to the chateau, short-hauled his magically constructed vacation hall. They enjoy a much-needed evening of rest and celebration after defeating another dragon. During the evening, Vex and Percy take advantage of the time off to rekindle their relationship. Vex and Keyleth struggle to tell each other how they really feel, and Grog helps Pike test out her new armor. Later, Pike finds Scanlan sulking alone in his room, grieving over his estranged daughter, Kaylee. She helps Scanlan look for his daughter, revealing a vision of Kaylee in a nearby town. The next morning, they decide to go home to Whitestone, the city that Vox Machina recently reclaimed from their enemies, the Briarwoods. However, as they teleport out of Draconia, Scanlan steps outside of the portal and remains to search for his daughter. The team doesn't notice this absence, however, because when they arrive at Whitestone, it is under attack by Thordak's spawn, the newly hatched dragons. The team splits up to defend the city. Percy looks for his sister, who is left in charge of the city. Keyleth and Allura try to extinguish the fires. Kima and Pike evacuate the citizens, and Grog gets to do what he does best, killing, this time smaller dragons. After a grueling battle, the dragons finally take flight and leave, but very little is left of the city. Shortly after, Raishan arrives and the furious Vox Machina team attacks her, thinking that she is behind the assault. Frustrated by their ignorance, Raishan insists that she is not to blame and urges them to consider who else knew about the hidden city of Whitestone. Finally, Percy realizes it could have only been Dr. Ripley, but not before Vox Machina has severed their alliance with Raishan. Episode 7, Cloak and Dagger. After the attack on Whitestone, Percy discovers it was a diversion for Dr. Ripley to steal the city's store of residuum, the residue of arcane energy in the form of green dust. But he also finds evidence of Dr. Ripley's location on the Isle of Glintshore. Concurrently, Scanlan is off by himself searching every nearby tavern for signs of his daughter. Following Percy's discovery, Vox Machina uses Vex's flying broom, Vax's wings, and Keyleth's shape-shifting abilities to fly to Glintshore, where they find an ominous underground factory surrounded by guards. They immediately find the entrance to the mine riddled with traps. Vax begins to disarm them while Percy tells Vex that he loves her.
Once we reach the cave, we should be ready to...
Look, there's a reason I've been pressing you about this. I'm in love with you.
Vex is unsure of how to respond, and in her confusion, she accidentally trips a trap that explodes with delirium gas. The team members become afflicted with their own personal nightmares, while the guards capture Percy and take him to the factory. Percy soon wakes up in the factory under gunpoint. Once again, Dr. Ripley tries to convince him to join her in completing the mass-producing weapons factory. But still not interested, Percy attacks, resulting in a gunfight against Dr. Ripley and all of the guards. During the shooting, Percy notices a store of black powder and detonates it, injuring Dr. Ripley. And now at the mercy of Percy, she's offered one last chance at redemption.
But I can help rid you of Orthax. After time and penance, you could find a better way. Your mind could be a gift to the world.
However, Dr. Ripley has one last trick literally up her sleeve, and she shoots Percy in the chest. Back outside the factory, Pike finishes healing the team of their delirium, and they rush inside to find Percy. Arriving at his bloodied body on the floor, they realize that he is dead. Episode 8, Siege and Silence. After the loss of Percy, Vox Machina is devastated and holds a funeral in Whitestone. Sometime later, Scanlan returns after failing to find his daughter, only to discover that his companion is dead. Vex is also beside herself with grief, while Vax is motivated by the loss to finally express his love toward Keyleth. Later that night, Vax is awoken to find Raishan, who urges them to attack Thordak before all of his dragon wormlings hatch. He speaks to his twin sister Vex, and they decide to avenge Percy's death by finally defeating Thordak. Among the team, only Keyleth objects, urging that Raishan cannot be trusted. The next day, the team gathers an army throughout the lands of Tal Do Rey, with Pyra, Vasselheim, and Whitestone immediately answering the call, and even Kasha and Zara, a group who are in love and allies of the Vox Machina, joining the upcoming fight. Knowing that this is not enough, Vex visits her father, Sildor, the ambassador of Singorn, the largest elven city in Tal Do Rey, to ask for help. Outside Emon, the capital city of Tal Do Rey that Thordak now controls, Vox Machina is concerned that their hastily gathered army is not enough to defeat Thordak, but then a horn blows, and upon the hill appears a triumphant Vex, her father, and the entire army of Singorn. Shortly after, Raishan also arrives to inform Vox Machina of a hidden entrance that leads directly to Thordak and his wormling eggs. However, there is still a small army of Thordak's hatched wormlings to deal with, and Tal Do Rey's massive army enters the city of Emon to face them. Simultaneously, Vox Machina plans to seek out Thordak and destroy his remaining eggs. With the battle about to begin, the army assembles before the dragon wormlings, and Vox Machina arrives at the hidden entrance, only to realize that it has been shut and Raishan has betrayed them. Finally, a rumbling at the feet of the army signals a terrifying turn of events as Thordak erupts from the ground and begins laying waste to the gathered army, while Vox Machina is too far away to help. Episode 9, Thordak's Throne. Vox Machina is helplessly watching Thordak slaughter their army of friends and family, and the team becomes paralyzed with indecision, So Grog uncharacteristically takes charge and orders Keyleth and Pike to help the army, while Vax and Vex fly Grog and Scanlan into Thordak's lair to destroy his unguarded eggs. While Grog and Scanlan begin smashing the wormling eggs, the rest of the team begins attacking Thordak with poor results. The team's combined abilities have little effect on the powerful ancient red dragon, and Pike still cannot utilize her Plate of the Dawn Martyr to its full potential. With the dragon dominating the fight, he eventually kills Kashaw, leaving Zara heartbroken.
Come on, big boy! Enough!
Back in Thordak's lair, Grog has slaughtered enough eggs that the rest begin to hatch, screeching in pain. Hearing this, Thordak flies back to save his baby wormlings while Grog begins punching the walls of the lair, bringing down the ceiling. Grog and Scanlan barely escape as the layer of the roof caves in, crushing the rest of the wormlings. The rest of the team then arrives to see Grog with a motionless Scanlan, and Thordak charging up a deadly fire beam in their direction. Pike runs ahead of the team and uses her armor to absorb the fire beam, and this time, she manages to harness the energy and redirect it towards Thordak, destroying the heart crystal in his chest and leaving him severely wounded. Arriving by Thordak's side, Raishan tries to finish him off, however he manages to fly away, but vows to return. Unwilling to allow Thordak to escape, Vax follows him, using his powers of flight to soar right through the heart of Thordak, killing him instantly. Shortly after, the army begins to gather their dead, and Keyleth feels bad for not trusting Raishan, so she leaves the team to apologize to Raishan, but as she arrives, Raishan attacks her and vanishes, taking the corpse of Thordak with her.
Without Vox Machina, I couldn't have done any of this. Nor any of what's to come.
Episode 10, To the Ends of the World. After Raishan disappears with Thordak's corpse, Keyleth is livid with the team for not trusting her beliefs about Raishan. She flies away to her father's home in Zephyra, the village of the Air Ashari, to seek advice. At the same time, Vex and Vax decide to leave the group to track down Dr. Ripley and avenge Percy, while the remaining team members are watching over Scanlan, who is still unconscious. Pike is worried about Scanlan and decides to find his daughter in hopes that her love can revive him. Keyleth soon arrives at her father's house and explains her mission to kill Raishan. Her father, Corin, hesitantly tells her about an ancient, dangerous ritual that she could use to locate Raishan, but she would need the council's permission. They quickly call a council meeting, and Keyleth finds out that it was the same exact ritual that killed her mother. After a heated debate, the council finally decides that Keyleth is permitted to learn and perform the Earth Ashari seeing ritual. Meanwhile, Vax and Vex have arrived in a town called Stilben, on their quest to find Dr. Ripley. The town is full of criminals, and before long, they find a thief carrying one of Dr. Ripley's weapons. After a brief altercation, they learn of a ship that often arrives at night selling weapons. And that night, the twins infiltrate the ship and locate Dr. Ripley, but quickly find themselves at gunpoint surrounded by her vicious crew. Back in Zephyra, Keyleth has just failed a grueling first attempt at the ritual, barely escaping with her life. But despite protests from her father, she is still determined to try again and find Raishan. Episode 11, Deadly Echoes. In Zephyra, Keyleth is still struggling with the ritual to find Raishan. Eventually, her body turns into stone and begins to crumble in front of her horrified father. But within the earth, Keyleth binds herself to her love for Vax, giving her strength. She erupts out of the ground as an earth elemental and sees where Raishan is hiding. She then returns to her human form and quickly sends the message to the rest of Vox Machina to meet her in Zephyra. Before receiving Keyleth's message though, Vex and Vax are still surrounded by the ship's crew and Dr. Ripley. They fight back, killing the crew, but then Dr. Ripley shoots a pile of gunpowder kegs, detonating the ship. In the chaos, Vax hears the voice of Percy emanating from Dr. Ripley's pistol, as Vex fires a perfectly aimed arrow into her chest. Vax retrieves the pistol, and they flee, leaving the dead Dr. Ripley to sink with the ship. Shortly after, they receive Keyleth's message to meet her. Meanwhile, Pike has returned to Scanlan with Kaylee, Scanlan's daughter. She begins to speak to her unconscious father, explaining how much she loves him and needs him, and finally he wakes up just in time to receive Keyleth's message. Immediately, Grog, Pike, and Scanlan set off for Zephyra. With all of them being reunited in Zephyra, Keyleth apologizes to the team and declares her love for Vax. And together, Vox Machina travels to the hidden location of Raishan, an ominous ziggurat temple brimming with power. Immediately they find Raishan, and Keyleth easily kills her, as if too easy.
Yeah, for you to die.
And not long after, the team's victory is cut short when they hear the voice of Raishan, while the massive corpse of Thordak begins to wake up. Episode 12, Souls in Darkness. Now using Thordak's body, Raishan vows to destroy the Ashari villages one by one. Vox Machina uses their vestiges to fight Raishan, but it becomes apparent that they are useless against her. Then Raishan conjures a force field that separates the team from Keyleth, leaving her alone to fight the undead monstrosity. Keyleth uses all of her elemental powers to repel Raishan's attacks, but a massive energy beam incinerates her, leaving her ashes floating to the ground. The team frantically watches their beloved team member's death, but then feels the ground start to rumble. From beneath them, Keyleth bursts from the ground in her earth elemental form. She harnesses her power over nature to transfer the disease from Raishan's corpse into Thordak's body, snuffing the life out of the dragon. Victoriously, Keyleth kisses Vax in between fits of vomiting, while Vax, once again, hears Percy calling out through the pistol, revealing that Orthax, the shadow demon who had struck a soul bargain with Dr. Ripley, has trapped Percy's soul in the gun. Later that day, the team regroups back at Whitestone. They begin a ritual to bring Percy back to life, with Pike restoring Percy's body, while Vax uses his powers to find Percy in Orthax's domain. As the team's strength begins to falter and success appears unlikely, Vex finally tells Percy that she loves him, and the gunslinger finally returns to his body. Days later, Whitestone is being rebuilt and Vox Machina holds a victory feast, during which they all announce their plans to go their separate ways with their loved ones. However, the happy departure is marred by future danger, as Vax's left hand is blackened, likely the beginning of the price that he has to pay for saving Percy's soul. While somewhere else, a group of cultists perform an ominous ritual to bring back a powerful dark entity. And that's it for The Legend of Vox Machina Season 3. So what'd you guys think of this adaptation? All in all, I think they captured the vibe of the source material pretty well, but let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks again for watching this recap and for sticking around until the end. If you guys want more great videos like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new one. Again, you can support our channel via YouTube memberships, Patreon, or Buy Me a Coffee, but we greatly appreciate every viewer regardless. We'll be back soon with another recap, guys, but for now, BingeBot is logging off.